Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Vocational Education and Training, SOVET, Bachelor of Arts, Vocational Studies, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, BAVMSME, Semester 4, BCOE, 141 Principles of Marketing, Block-1 Basic Concepts of Marketing, Unit-4 Consumer Behavior, 4.0 Objectives. After studying this unit, you should be able to times explain the need to understand consumer behavior, times classify consumers, times distinguish between the buyer and actual user, and times describe the factors that influence consumer behavior. 4.1 Introduction. As you know, a market is the set of actual and potential buyers of a product. And marketing refers to human activity directed at satisfying needs and wants through exchange process. This means that while marketing a product, you aim at satisfying the needs and wants of actual and potential users of that product. To achieve this, it is essential to understand the tastes, preferences, likes, dislikes, consumption patterns, process of purchase, etc. of the buyers of that product. Thus, there is a need for you to study the consumer behavior. In this unit, you will study the meaning and importance of consumer behavior, types of consumers, and factors influencing the consumer behavior. 4.2 Meaning of consumer behavior. One thing that we have in common is that we are all consumers. In fact, everybody in this world is a consumer. Every day of our lives, we are buying and consuming a variety of goods and services. However, we all have different tastes, likes and dislikes, and adopt different behavior patterns while making purchase decisions. You may prefer to use Colgate toothpaste, Synthol toilet soap, and Halo shampoo, whereas your spouse may prefer Neem toothpaste, Lux soap, and Shikakai shampoo. Similarly, you may have a certain set of preferences in food, clothing, books, magazines, recreational activities, forms of savings, and the stores from where you prefer to shop, which may be different not only from those of your spouse but also your friends, neighbors, and colleagues. For example, take the case of two-wheelers. You may prefer Activa, your friend may like Royal Enfield Bullet, and another person may prefer Hero Honda. Similarly, take the case of smokers. Some people like cigars, some prefer BDs, and others like cigarettes. Again, within each category also different persons prefer different brands. Thus, each consumer is unique, and this uniqueness is reflected in the consumption behavior and pattern as well of process of purchase. The study of consumer behavior provides us with reasons why do consumers differ from one another in buying and using products and services. What products and services do we buy? Why do we buy? How often do we buy? From where do we buy? How do we buy? Etc. are the issues which are dealt with in the area of consumer behavior. Consumer behavior can be defined as those acts of individuals, consumers, directly involved in obtaining, using, and disposing of economic goods and services, including the decision processes that determine these acts. 4.3 Importance of understanding consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is helpful in understanding the purchase behavior and preferences of different consumers. As consumers, we differ in terms of our sex, age, education, occupation, income, family setup, religion, nationality, and social status. Because of these differences, we have different needs. And we only buy those products and services which we think will satisfy our needs. In marketing terminology, as you know, specific types or groups of consumers buying different products or variation of the same basic product represent different market segments. In order to market successfully to different market segments, the marketing manager needs appropriate marketing strategies. He can design this strategy only when he understands the factors which account for these differences in consumer behavior and tastes. In today's world of rapidly changing technology, consumer tastes are also changing rapidly. To survive in such a rapidly changing market, a firm has to constantly understand the latest consumer trends and tastes. Consumer behavior provides invaluable clues and guidelines to marketers on new technological frontiers which they should explore. For example, let us consider the advancement in the technology of television in India. Consumers are switching from CRT TV to smart televisions. The consumers exhibits desire to purchase TV with higher resolution. A management which believes in the philosophy of marketing concept must naturally proceed by identifying and understanding the prospective customers and their buying behavior. To understand the potential consumers means to understand the consumer's goals, which may be long-term or short-term in nature. Once the goals are identified, the company can decide as to how best its products can help the consumer to reach such goals. He/she can design the products accordingly and carry on advertisement message explaining how the product can help the consumers to reach the goal. Many difficulties are to be anticipated in understanding the prospective consumers. First of all, people rarely ever give their goals any conscious thought nor express them in a clear-cut way. Even if a few goals are occasionally felt, they are rarely expressed in the order of importance. Again, the means selected to achieve proclaimed goals may or may not be rational. Many individuals frequently decide to satisfy small needs that confront them at a given moment of time. They do not pay much attention to their long-term goals of greater significance to their life in future. Most of such goals and means are changed quite often. Every person sets goals and seeks means of achieving them. However, no two persons have identical sets of ultimate or intermediary sets of goals. There can be only broad generalizations when target groups and their specific goals can be guessed with a fair accuracy. Then an appropriate advertising message and medium can be selected. For example, when a bank desires to promote its fixed deposit business, the prospects are those whose long-term goals are peaceful, carefree, retired life. There may be many whose goals are different or who would give a low value to this goal. Hence, the advertising message of the bank, if carried through a newspaper or radio, may use the above theme. If, on the other hand, the medium is a trade journal, the above goal, to attract fixed deposits, may not be achieved at all. One aspect to be considered here is how to differentiate between the prospects and poor prospectus and the media to reach the prospects. Psychology, sociology, cultural anthropology, and economics are among the areas that provide useful insights into consumer behavior. Similarly, class and demographic methods of market segmentation, although still important, need to be combined for a meaningful marketing analysis. Government and other distinctive groups constitute special markets that present unique problems and opportunities. These markets must be analyzed in depth if their potentials are to be capitalized. 4.4 Types of consumers. As you know, markets are broadly classified as consumer markets and organizational markets. In the same way, all consumers also can be classified into two types: personal consumers and organizational consumers. When you buy a shirt for your own use, you are buying in your capacity as a personal consumer. However, when you are buying a computer for use in office, you are making the purchase in your capacity as an organizational consumer. Whenever you buy goods and services for your own or for your Family use, you are treated as a personal consumer. All individuals, thus, fall in the category of personal consumers. All business firms, government, agencies and bodies, non-business organizations such as hospitals, temples, trusts, etc. are organizational consumers who purchase goods and services for running the organizations. As you know, in the case of an organization also, buying decisions are taken by individuals only. Hence, the behavior pattern of organization consumers is marginally different from personal consumers. In this unit, however, our focus is on the personal consumer and factors influencing his/her behavior. 4.5 Buyer versus user. The person who makes the actual purchase of a product or services is called the buyer, and the person who consumes or uses the product or service is called user. Often the person who purchases the product is not the person who actually consumes or uses that product. A mother buys toys and clothes for consumption by her young children. The mother is the buyer, but the actual consumers are the children. A car is purchased by the husband or the wife, but is used by all the members of the family. Thus, in the family context, you may either have the situation where the buyer is distinct from the consumer, or the buyer is only one of the many consumers. Besides buyer and user, any person in the family or even from outside the family may influence the buying decision in the role of an initiator or influencer or decider. The initiator is the person who first suggests or gets the idea of buying the particular product or service. An influencer is a person whose views or advice carries some weight in making the final decision. The decider is the person who ultimately determines any part of or the entire buying decisions, whether to buy or not, how to buy, when to buy, where to buy, etc. The question that arises is who should be the subject of study in consumer behavior? Should we study the buyer or the consumer or the other influencing persons? To overcome this problem, in many instances it is the household or the family and not the individual who is considered the subject of the study. However, a person involved in marketing should have a very sharply defined focus for marketing strategy, especially promotional strategy. You must identify the best prospect for your products, whether it is the buyer or the user. Even when the consumer is distinct from the buyer, the consumer's likes and dislikes, taste, etc. influence the buyer's decision in the purchase of a specific product or brand. Thus, many companies focus their promotion at both the user and the buyer. Consider the promotional message of Maggi noodles and Rasna soft drink concentrate. The taste and fun aspects of both these products are meant to appeal to the children who are the major consumers. While the convenience, in case of noodles, and economy, in case of Rasna, are meant to appeal to the mothers who are the buyers. 4.6 Factors influencing consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is affected by a host of variables, ranging from personal motivations, needs, attitudes and values, personality characteristics, socioeconomic and cultural background, age, sex, professional status, to social influences of various kinds exerted by family, friends, colleagues and society as a whole. The combinations of these various factors produce a different impact on each of us as manifested in our different behavior as consumers. Consumer behavior results from individual and environmental influences. Consumers often purchase goods and services to achieve their ideal self-image and to project the self-image they want others to accept. Behavior is, therefore, determined by the individual's psychological makeup and the influences of others. In other words, consumer behavior is a function of the interaction of consumers' personal influences and the pressures exerted upon them by outside forces in the environment. Understanding consumer behavior requires an understanding of the nature of these influences. The basic determinants of consumer behavior include the individual, motives, perceptions, and attitudes. The interaction of these factors with influences from the environmental factors causes the consumer to act. All the factors that influence the consumer behavior can be classified into 4 broad groups: 1. Psychological factors, 2. Personal factors, 3. Social factors, and 4. Cultural factor. Look at Figure 4.1 carefully and study the factors grouped in each of these 4 categories. Figure 4.1 Factors influencing consumer behavior. 4.6.1 Psychological factors. The starting point in the purchase decision process is the recognition of a felt need. A need is simply the lack of something useful. We all have needs and we consume different goods and services with the expectation that they will help to fulfill these needs. When a need is sufficiently pressing, it directs the person to seek its satisfaction. It is known as motive. Thus, motives are inner states that direct people towards the goal of satisfying a felt need. The individual is moved. The root word for motive to take action to reduce a state of tension and to return to a condition of equilibrium. Although psychologists do not agree on any specific classification of needs, a useful theory of the hierarchy of needs has been developed by Abraham Maslow. His list is based on 2 important assumptions. 1. People are wanting animals whose needs depend on what they already possess. A satisfied need is not a motivator. Only those needs that have not been satisfied can influence behavior. 2. All needs can be ranked in order of importance from the low biological needs to the higher level psychological needs. Each level of unfulfilled need motivates the individual's behavior, and as each successive level of need is fulfilled, people keep moving on to the next higher level of need. As shown in Figure 4.2, Maslow has classified the needs into 5 categories as 1. Physiological needs, 2. Safety needs, 3. Social needs, 4. Esteem needs, and 5. Self-actualization needs. In the figure, the different levels of needs have been depicted as being watertight compartments, but in reality there is always overlap amongst the different levels of needs, since no need is ever totally satisfied. There is always scope for further fulfillment. Self-actualization needs times self-fulfillment, esteem needs times prestige times status times success times self-respect, etc. Social needs times friendship times belongingness, etc. Safety needs times protection times order, stability, etc. Physical needs times food times water times air times shelter, sex, etc. Physiological needs, the primary needs for food, shelter and clothing that are present in all humans and must be satisfied before the individual can consider other higher-order needs. A hungry person ignores other needs until he obtains food to satisfy his hunger. Once the physiological needs are satisfied, at least partially, other needs enter the picture. Safety needs. The safety needs include security, protection from physical harm and avoidance of the unexpected unfavorable happenings. Gratification of these needs may take the form of a savings account, life insurance, the purchase of radial tires, or membership in a local health club. Social needs, satisfaction of physiological and safety needs leads to the third level needs, which are called social needs. These needs arise due to the desire to be accepted by members of the family and other individuals and groups. The individual may be motivated to join various groups to conform to their standards of dress and behavior, and to become interested in obtaining status, as means of fulfilling these needs, esteem needs, these needs, which are near the top of the ladder, are more difficult to satisfy. At the esteem level is the need to feel a sense of accomplishment, achievement, and to receive respect from others. The competitive needs to excel to better the performance of others is an almost universal human trait. The esteem need is closely related to social needs. At this level, however, the individual desires not just acceptance but also recognition and respect. The person has a desire to stand out from the crowd. In some way, self-actualization needs. The top position on the ladder of human needs is self-actualization, the need for fulfillment, for realizing one's own potential, for using one's talents and capabilities totally. Maslow defines self-actualization this way: the healthy man is primarily motivated by his needs to develop and actualize his fullest potentialities and capacities. What man can be, he must be. Individual behavior resulting from motivation is affected by how our stimuli perceived. Perception is the meaning that each person attributes to incoming stimuli received through the five senses. To perceive is to see or hear, or touch or taste or smell something or event or idea. Perception is much more complex and broader than sensation. It is the process of the mind selecting, organizing, and interpreting the reality. Several factors influence one's perception. Perception may or may not be corresponding with the reality. What people perceive is as much a result of what they want to perceive as of what is actually there. Perception of incoming stimuli is greatly affected by attitudes about them. In fact, the decision to purchase a product is based on currently held attitudes about the product, the store, or the salesperson. Attitudes are a person's enduring favorable or unfavorable evaluations, emotional feelings, pro or against action tendencies in regard to some object or idea. They are formed over a period of time through individual experiences and group contacts and are highly resistant to change. Since favorable attitudes are likely to be conducive to brand preferences, marketers are interested in determining consumer attitudes towards their products. 4.6.2 Personal factors. A consumer's purchase decisions are also affected by his personal characteristics such as sex, stage in family life cycle, education, occupation, income, lifestyle, his overall personality and overall self-concept. We shall now discuss some of these influences: demographic factors and life cycle stage. The first factor influencing a buyer's decision is his age. The need for different products and services changes with age. Babies and children have special needs for products such as milk powder, baby foods and toys. Young adults need clothes, recreational and educational facilities, transportation and a host of other age and fashion-related consumption needs. There are certain physiological differences between men and women which result in their having different consumption needs. Women need specialized medical facilities for pregnancy and delivery. Their requirement of clothes and cosmetics is different from that of men. Each gender thus has its own need for specific products and services. Education and occupation. Education widens a person's horizons, refines his tastes and makes his outlook more cosmopolitan. An educated person is more likely to consume educational facilities, books, magazines and other knowledge-oriented products and services. In India, for example, we find that educated families are more inclined towards adopting family planning than families which have not educational background. The occupation in which a person is engaged also shapes the consumption needs. People following specialized occupations such as photography, music, dance, carpentry, etc., need special tools and equipment. Apart from this specific need, the status and role of person within an organization affects his consumption behavior. Chief executives would buy three-piece suits of the best fabric, handmade leather briefcase and use services of airlines and five-star hotels. A junior manager or blue-collar worker in the same organization may also buy a three-piece suit, but he may compromise on price. Income. The income of a person has an extremely important influence on his consumption behavior. He may wish to buy certain goods and services, but his income may become a constraint. Income in this context really refers to the income available for spending, i.e., income after tax, provident fund, and other statutory deductions. The person's attitude towards spending versus saving and his borrowing power are also important influencing factors. Small size packaging in sachets for products such as tea, shampoo, toothpaste, etc. are meant for the lower income customers who cannot afford a one-time large outlay of money on such products. 4.6.3 Social factors. Consumer behavior is also influenced by social factors such as reference groups, family, social roles, social status, and opinion leaders. Reference groups. As a consumer, your decision to purchase and services is influenced by the people around you with whom you interact and the various social groups to which you belong. The groups with whom you interact directly or indirectly influence your purchase decisions. There may be indirect reference groups. Indirect reference groups comprise those individuals or groups whom an individual does not have any direct face-to-face contact, such as film stars, TV stars, sportsmen, politicians, etc. For example, celebrities like film stars and sports heroes are well known. People in their specific field of activity who are admitted, and their fans aspire to emulate their behavior. Soft drinks, shaving cream, toilet soaps, textiles are advertised using celebrities from the sports and film fields. Hidden in this appeal is subtle inducement to the customer to identify himself with user of the product in question. Family. The family is the most important of all reference groups, and we shall discuss it in detail. The family, as a unit, is an important consumer for many products which are purchased for consumption by all family members. It is a source of major influence on the individual members' buying behavior. It is from parents that we imbibe most of our values, attitudes, beliefs, and purchase behavior patterns. Long after an individual has ceased to live with his parents, their influence on the subconscious mind still continues to be great. In our country, where children continue to live with their parents even after attaining adulthood, the parents' influence is extremely important. Within the family, different members play different roles. Marketers are interested in finding out exactly the role played by individual members so that they can appropriately design their promotion strategy to suit these differing roles. An individual may participate in many groups. His position within each group can be defined in terms of the activities he is expected to perform. You are probably a manager, and when you are in a work situation you play that role. However, at home you play the role of spouse and parent. Thus, in different social positions you play different roles. Each of these roles influences your purchase decisions. As a manager, you would like to buy clothes which reflect your status within the organization, such as safari suit, three-piece suit, tie, leather shoes, etc. You are in a relaxed and informal situation at home, hence, you would prefer clothes which are comfortable rather than formal, and you may wear shirts, jeans, kurta pajama, dhoti or lungi. Status. Each role that a person plays has status, which is the relative prestige accorded by society. Status is often measured by the degree of influence an individual exerts on the behavior and attitude of others. People buy and use products which reflect their status. The managing director of a company, for instance, may drive a Mercedes to communicate his status in society. He may go to Europe or USA for a holiday rather than going to Missouri or Ooty. Opinion leaders. A consumer is also influenced by the advice he receives from his friends, neighbors, relatives and colleagues about what products and services they should buy. This process of influencing is known as the opinion leadership process and is described as process by which one person, the opinion leader, informally influence the actions or attitude of other opinion receivers. For instance, during lunch hour you may casually ask your colleague to recommend a good motorbike mechanic. Or you discuss with your relatives and neighbors what brand of TV they possess and try to ascertain which is the brand recommended by most before purchasing a TV for your home. Similarly, many people seek the advice or opinion leaders in case of specific products. People who have acquired considerable knowledge and experience in a particular field are thought of as opinion leaders in that area. Advertisers and marketers are concerned with reaching the opinion leaders and ensuring that they receive the intended information which they can, in turn, pass on to opinion receivers. 4.6.4 Cultural factors. Consumer behavior is also being strongly influenced by the cultural factors. Marketers normally study 3 cultural factors: 1. Buyer's culture, 2. Subculture, and 3. Social class. Let us study these factors briefly. Culture. The study of culture encompasses all aspects of a society such as its religion, knowledge, language, laws, customs, traditions, music, art, technology, work patterns, products, etc. All these factors make up the unique, distinctive personality of each society. For our purpose of studying consumer behavior, culture can be defined as the sum total of learned beliefs, values and customs which serve to guide and direct the consumer behavior of all members of that society, the kind of products and advertising appeals that can work effectively in a society depend largely on its cultural background. In the American society, individualism, freedom, achievement, success, material comfort, efficiency, and practicality are values which are followed and imbibed by the younger children. Products and services which fulfill these values are most successfully marketed in America. In the Indian society, on the contrary, conformity, spiritualism, respect for the elderly, traditionalism and education are some of the dominant cultural values. However, our society is undergoing a cultural change and you can notice some major cultural shifts, which have far-reaching consequences for the introduction of a vast variety of new products and services. Subculture. Within the large framework of a society, there exist many subcultures. A subculture is an identifiable distinct cultural group which, while following the dominant cultural values of the overall society, also has its own beliefs, values and customs that set it apart from other members of the same society. Every member of a society is a member of several subgroups and the consumer's purchase decision is a result of the member of these various subgroups. The marketer must understand how the specific subcultural groups interact with each other and exert their influence on the members' consumption behavior. These subcultures offer ready-made market segments to the marketer who can position his product to meet the specific needs of each subculture. Social class. In every society there is inequality in social status amongst different people. So the people are categorized into different social classes. Social classes can be defined as relatively permanent and homogeneous divisions in a society in which individual or families sharing similar values, lifestyles, interacts. Social classes are usually ranked in a hierarchical order ranging from low status to high status. If we compare different social classes, we would find difference in values, attitudes and behavior between each class, as also a pattern of consumption's behavior unique to each class. Study Table 4.1 carefully and analyze how are the buying behavior patterns different for various social classes. Table 4.1 Major social classes and the dominant characteristics and buying behavior patterns. Look at the screen. 4.7 Consumer buying process. In making a purchase decision, the consumer goes through the following 5 decisions. 1. Problem recognition. The buying process starts with the buyer recognizing a need or problem. For example, Mr. Rao feels very uncomfortable carrying his papers, files and lunch packet in his hand or in a plastic bag to his workplace. Mr. Rao feels the need for a briefcase to carry papers to and from his office. 2. Pre-purchase information search. After identifying the need for a briefcase, Mr. Rao starts searching for information on the kinds of briefcases available in the market. Mr. Rao can seek information from 3 sources. 1. Personal source, family, friends, colleagues, neighbors. 2. Commercial sources, advertisements, retailers, salesmen, and 3. Public sources, seeing other consumer information centers. By the end of this stage, Mr. Rao has gathered enough information about different kinds of briefcases available and narrowed down his alternatives to molded plastic, branded briefcases. Within this broad range, there are various brands and price ranges from which to make the final choice from. 3. Evaluation of alternatives. Mr. Rao will make his final decision using certain evaluation criteria. The most commonly used criteria are I. Product attribute. 2. The relative importance of each attribute to the consumer. 3. Brand image. And 4. Attitudes towards the different brands or alternatives under consideration. For instance, the product attributes of the molded plastic briefcases are unbreakable, lightweight, spaciousness, reliability of locking system, color and price. Mr. Rao attaches maximum importance to the product attributes of lightweight and spaciousness as compared to other attributes. He already has some kind of attitude towards the various brands developed in the stage of information search, which will affect his final decision. I want to be a good host. I must treat my guest well. Perhaps I can make my drawing room look luxurious, or I can serve snacks hot, fresh, but that is a time-consuming job. Else I can serve chilled drinks, for which I need a refrigerator. I myself remember and have seen my neighbors having them, and I saw a few advertisements also. LG has a better look, a reputed company makes it. But Godrej is available with a friendly dealer. Voltas seems to be equally good price-wise, all are similar, let me visit those two most friendly dealers, listen to them and make the choice there itself. I am happy. I purchased this refrigerator. I am using it for many more things. 4. Purchase decision. In the evaluation stage, Mr. Rao has ranked the various brands in terms of his first, second and third preference. In short, he has made up his mind about which brand he wants to buy. However, Mr. Rao may finally end up buying a brand which is not his most preferred. For instance, when Mr. Rao goes to the shop to make his purchase, the shopkeeper's negative remarks about his, Mr. Rao's, most preferred brand may make him change his mind. 5. Post-purchase behavior after purchasing the briefcase. If Mr. Rao finds that its performance or utility matches up to his expectations, he will feel satisfied with his purchase. The satisfaction will reinforce his perceived favorable image of the brand, which is likely to be extended to the entire range of products manufactured by the company, and also he may strongly recommend the brand when his friends ask his advice. Mr. Rao may do the opposite if he feels that the briefcase which he has purchased is not up to his expectation. Thus, customer satisfaction. Dissatisfaction has a powerful influence on potential customers. All the above stages in the buying process are presented in Figure 4.3. However, in case of routine purchases, the consumer may skip the second and third stages and straight away go to the stage of purchase decision. In case of purchase decision involving extensive problem solving, the consumer is likely to go through all the 5 stages in the specified sequence. The important point to note is that the buying process starts much before the actual purchase and has implications even after the purchase has been made. This should give ideas to the marketer as to how he/she to start designing his marketing strategy in order to achieve the specified marketing objectives. 4.8 Summary. Consumer behavior is the study of why, how, what, when, where, and how often do consumers buy and consume different products and services. Knowledge of consumer behavior is helpful to the marketer in understanding the needs of different consumer segments and developing appropriate marketing strategies for each segment. The study of consumer behavior also provides an insight into how consumers arrive at the purchase decision and the factors which influences their decision. Once the influencing variables have been identified, the marketer can manipulate them so as to induce in his consumers a positive purchase decision. Consumers can be classified into 2 categories: 1. Personal consumer, and 2. Organizational consumers. All the individuals and households who buy or procure goods or services for their non-business personal consumption are called personal consumers. All individuals or organizations who buy or procure goods or services for further production or resale for profit or for the maintenance are called organizational consumers. Organizational consumers are comprised of industrial undertakings, resellers, and government. Often the person who buys the product is not the person who actually uses it. Besides, buyer, user, or any person can influence the buying decision in the capacity of an initiator or influencer or decider. Now the question is, who should be the subject of focus for the marketer? To overcome this problem, in many cases, it is the household or the family and not the individual who is considered the subject of focus. However, a marketer should have a very sharply defined focus for an effective marketing strategy. Consumers' decision to purchase a product is influenced by a host of factors. All the factors that influence the consumer behavior may be broadly classified into 4 groups. 1. Psychological factors, motives, perceptions, attitudes. 2. Personal factors, age and life cycle stage, occupation, income, lifestyle, personality. 3. Social factors, reference groups, family, roles, status, and 4. Cultural factors, culture, subculture, social class. In making a purchase decision, the consumer goes through 5 stages. 1. Problem recognition. 2. Pre-purchase information search. 3. Evaluation of alternatives. 4. Purchase decision. And 5. Post-purchase behavior. However, in case of routine purchases, the consumer may skip the second and third stages and straight away go to the stage of purchase decision. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with next chapter.